In early 2025, the Trump administration unleashed a controversial wave of tariffs targeting China and Canada, disrupting decades-old trade partnerships and raising tensions to new heights. The U.S. imposed a sweeping 20% tariff on Chinese goods, prompting immediate retaliation from Beijing, which swiftly reduced American imports and pivoted towards alternative trading partners such as Canada and the European Union. This abrupt policy shift has severely impacted American farmers and industries. Historically critical agricultural exports, particularly soybeans, corn, and wheat, saw steep declines in exports to China. Previously dominant in supplying China's vast market, U.S. soybean exports plunged dramatically from 40% in 2016 to just 18% by 2024. Instead, China increasingly turned to Brazil, Argentina, and European nations to fill the gap, notably boosting EU pork imports by 35% in just 1 year. For American farmers, this resulted in surplus supplies, crashing commodity prices, shrinking revenues, and looming bankruptcies, particularly among smaller farms unable to pivot swiftly. In response to Washington's protectionist stance, Canada has strategically reoriented its economic relationships. When the U.S. imposed a 10% tariff on Canadian oil imports, Canada seized the moment, redirecting its energy exports towards China through infrastructure projects like the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline. Capacity skyrocketed from 300,000 to nearly 890,000 barrels per day, with half of Canada's crude exports now headed for Chinese markets. Concurrently, the LNG Canada project positioned Canada as a critical supplier of liquefied natural gas to China, further undermining the long-standing U.S. dominance in the Asian energy market. Adding fuel to the fire, in December 2024, President Trump provocatively suggested Canada could become America's 51st state. Canadian leaders quickly and forcefully rejected this affront to their sovereignty. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau firmly asserted Canada's independence, initiating nationwide boycotts against American goods, particularly impactful in Quebec and Nova Scotia, where U.S. alcohol was promptly removed from retail shelves. Canadian tourism to the U.S. sharply declined, significantly hurting local economies reliant on Canadian visitors, particularly in tourist-heavy states such as Florida, California, and Texas. Canada's diplomatic push to diversify trade intensified at NATO and European summits, where Trudeau urged Europe to reconsider reliance on American suppliers. Leveraging the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, Canada aggressively positioned itself as a viable, stable alternative market for European nations, wary of U.S. unpredictability. Canada highlighted its advanced manufacturing industries, abundant natural resources, and burgeoning aerospace sector as key competitive advantages over the U.S. This pivot didn't end in Europe. Canada's renewed energy relationship with China has created strategic alignments reshaping global economic dynamics. Simultaneously, Ottawa explored expanding trade connections across Asia and within the BRICS countries, further reducing reliance on American markets. The U.S. automotive industry has also come under threat, exemplified by Canada's consideration of imposing a steep 100% tariff specifically targeting Tesla vehicles. This unprecedented measure could sharply increase vehicle costs, severely impact Tesla's Canadian sales, and disrupt broader North American automotive markets. Ultimately, America's tariff-heavy strategy has backfired, alienating traditional allies and prompting significant market realignment. Canada's proactive moves to deepen ties with Europe, China, and other Asian nations underscore a seismic shift in global trade, challenging U.S. economic hegemony. Washington's insistence on protectionism risks further isolation, economic contraction, and diminishing global influence. If the U.S. fails to recalibrate its policies, it could witness a permanent erosion of the dominance it has long taken for granted.